Well, hello, youth ministry families and our fans. I forgot to tell you all before we started, we have fans. We have fans that watch these episodes and they actually have discussions with me about the things we talk about. So we have fans. So hello to our special fans. And as I said, Stephen Kodikis, one of our seminarians, his mom's way out in California and she watches these too. So hello to everyone who's joined us today. Today we are talking about a special saint. His name is Saint Philip Neri. And for all of us who are here today who work with young people, Philip Neri is a cool dude for youth ministry. And we're going to talk a little bit about why. So today I'm joined by Becca Feldkamp. She is the youth minister over at St. Max, not too far from St. John Newman, which is awesome. Miss Abbie Kohler, who is the NET local outreach coordinator. Did I do that good? Did that good. I finally got the whole title thing in there. Of the Eastern region or something. I mean, you got a whole other tale to that. Yes. And then we have Mr. Bradley Barnes, who's the youth minister over at Guardian Angels. So it's always good to have Mr. Bradley here as well. And Becca, I hope we don't get you to snort water out your nose or anything this time around.
Yeah. Gosh, that last time was a doozy. Oh.
It was a doozy. We giggled a lot last time, so but that's always good. And
I'm
today,
maybe with Brad.
And today we should giggle a lot because Philip Neri is the patron saint of humor and joy. So, Mr. Barnes, because Saint Philip Neri is so close to your heart, why don't you share first about what intrigues you about Philip Neri, or a favorite story, or why he's your boy?
Sure. So I discovered Saint Philip Neri early on when I became a Catholic youth minister, and he was just new to me just because I've only been Catholic for 10 years in general. But I loved the stories I'd hear about how sunny a disposition he had. He's got some great quotes where he's basically like taking the attitude of like, man, like holiness isn't a chore. It's not boring or, dull to be a saint. So just that he just had such a radiating, joyful presence of Christ that just like shone through from his life. It's just refreshing because I think sometimes the saints seem really high up there, and St. Philip Neri brings holiness and he kind of puts it down in a somewhat reachable distance. And my favorite story about St. Philip Neri, to kind of demonstrate some of that, was he was invited to a party because it was kind of, this is centuries ago when he was living, and it used to be very socially cool to be a well-spoken, well-educated priest, someone in ecclesial society. So he got invited to this party because people wanted to show him off, and he took himself, or rather, he didn't take himself as seriously as these people were taking him, and to kind of turn their expectations on his head, he came to the party with half of his beard shaved off. And that's just always stuck with me. I always tell my students that if we ever, if we're ever trying to get X amount of people to a certain thing, and I'm like, well, if we really blow the numbers out and we, get way more people signed up than we would have thought, then I'll shave off half my beard, St. Philip Neri style. They haven't come through yet. Maybe this next school year will be the year that they finally get me to do it. So
maybe. I guess he would also wear ridiculous clothes. He was never as serious, I think, as some people wanted him to be. But that's what attracted other people to him and to the faith, because the way he presented it. So yes, half a beard. Bradley, I cannot.
Beard for Jesus. I love it.
Absolutely. Miss Abbie, what did you learn about St. Philip Neri?
Hey there. So what I love about him, so I first encountered him, I've heard about him and learned about him over the years, but I really got to know him a little bit more when I moved to Cincinnati. There's an old church downtown called Old St. Mary's, and my office is not far from there. And there's a beautiful order of priests there that were founded by St. Philip Neri, and so they have a great devotion to him, and it's exciting. This year, I believe that masses are being reinstated just in time for his feast day, or to have a special mass in honor of his feast day. I think they're doing that next week. But what I loved about him is his wholeheartedness. At one point in his life, he just left kind of all worldly ambitions behind and pursued the faith, but pursued the faith by preaching it to others in a very gentle way, which is kind of, I desire to be gentle. And so reading some of just the stories and occasions of how, I think there's one quote that said, he would say, first, let a little love find entrance into their hearts, and the rest will follow. So his means of persuasion, either for the faith or just for things that needed to get done, his means was to love on people and let them open their hearts, which was really beautiful. There's a great story of how he prayed for the gifts of the Holy Spirit on the eve of Pentecost, which is coming up. So maybe we can have a Philip Neri experience. But he prayed for the gifts of the Holy Spirit, and there's this mystical moment of like a ball of fire coming down upon him and into his heart. And there were some lasting effects of that, one of which they say at the end of his life, his rib cage was like supernaturally kind of altered and arced to fit an enlarged heart. That there were a lot of other stories and effects from that. But so his supernatural love and gentility, I think, is what really strikes me about him.
When the supernatural has a physical effect, that's mic dropping, I think, for the saints. And we learn about that so many times with these stories that we've discussed. Okay, Miss Becca, what you got about St. Philip Neri?
I am so excited about this because, I was reading that he would lead excursions to other churches and they'd have picnics. And I was thinking about that, and I'm like, because all the times in my time as a missionary or as a youth minister, anytime I get burnt out, usually it's because I'm overthinking what it is that people want. And I always think like, oh, they're going to want this like big, flashy, fancy thing to like really bring in the people. But I think deep down what people really want is just the simpleness of like being together. And I was even thinking like, as I was reading, I was like, I could just take a group of kids over to GA or over to like St. John Newman, and I could have my youth minister friends give us a tour, and then we could all go to lunch after. You know, people would be all over that. And I just love that he did that. And it made me think, yesterday I was at St. Max in the office, and when I was driving home, I took the long way just for fun. And there's a Menards on the way back, and I've never been in a Menards before. And I looked from the street, and I actually could see through the window, like the light, you know, like how hardware stores have like the lighting section, and it just looks like an explosion, and it's beautiful and so cool. And I saw that through the window, and immediately, I think I was at a red light, and I texted Michael. I was like, you have to take me to Menards, you know, like we have to go to Menards together. And I don't know, there's just he was like, why? You know, like, okay, but it's just one of the, like the simpleness of like taking a group of kids to see something just ordinary, but the fact that you make it fun and the fact that you're like making a big deal about it makes it extraordinary. And it just seems like that's what he did. He took the really little things, like walking over to a church that his people didn't usually go to, and then just sharing a meal and doing that. I love that. He was just a human person, you know. It was so cool.
A human person, Becca, who was also surrounded by friends such as Ignatius of Loyola and Charles of Borromeo and popes. Yeah. But he was just a typical guy.
Yeah, just a regular guy with a few exceptions.
With a few little exceptions. But he also surrounded himself with the poor, which I find fascinating, that he had this group of people. And they say he was really never alone. He was always surrounded by people. And sometimes as a youth minister, and I think especially being in a small church that I'm in and working with such a wide range of ages, from the preschoolers all the way to the young adults, there are times at the end of Mass, I guess it'll be really interesting. They won't be able to hug me. This is going to be so fascinating. But I feel like there's so many people who want my attention sometimes when we're at meetings or at Mass. And when I was reading a little bit more about him, I thought, oh, he's a good patron saint when I'm overwhelmed by people. I am an extrovert, but I have my introverted side. So there's a moment where I hit my limit. And so I thought, oh, maybe call upon the intercession of Philip Neri next time I feel a little bit overwhelmed. My favorite story about Philip Neri also is similar to what Becca was talking about, I guess, because he was in Italy. And this is the 1500s. And so during carnival time, or carnival, I guess is what they would have said in Italy, he wanted to prevent the young people from participating in the debauchery of carnival time. And so he organized this pilgrimage, it says, to churches. So one of these pilgrimages that he did with picnics and instrumental music. And they walked 12 miles. So he said they were too tired to be tempted, which is fantastic. I just think sometimes that's what we do in youth ministry. We make them too tired to go home and be tempted anymore, to go out with other friends or whatever. So I just think that there's such beauty in that, in his great sense of humor. And like you said, Bradley, with this sense of humor, and what a great model for that. That doesn't mean he wasn't holy. And I think sometimes we think holy means serious. Holy does not necessarily mean serious. But he was, I think, such a simple man. It talks about how he subsisted on small meals, bread and water. And but yeah, what a great evangelist and model for today. So we're allowed to be happy and be holy. So there we go. We're done. Truth Bombs is over. Bradley, what you got? Oh, we're out. Here we go. Bye-bye. Okay, Becca, you get to go first on the lovely Truth Bombs with St. Philip Neri. Oh, did we mention he lived in the 1500s? I think I said 1500s with Carnival. The name of the priest group that he started was the Congregation of the, Abbie, you might know better than me. Congregation of the Priests of the Oratory. So that was his little order that he started, and I'm sure we'll learn a few other things along the way. Yes. So, and also an informal priest, not a formal priest, just preaching on the corners. That's what we need to remember to do as youth ministers, preaching on the corners, or in the school gyms or wherever those young people are today. Right now, they're all at home. So, okay, Becca, here's your first question. If St. Philip Neri had a superpower, what do you think it would be?
I would say, this one might make people throw up. I would say he would have super eyesight, because I have a feeling he's Neri-sighted.
Oh, Becca! Becca, you just got 100,000 points, because yesterday it's kind of like, whose line is it anyway? The points really don't matter. So, but whatever. I kept giving Father Kyle, he kept having these mic drop moments. I'm like, 100,000 points to you. And then we talk about how one of these days he's going to cash in those points, and I'm going to kind of regret it. So I have to move a piece of furniture, Becky, and I'll be, remember all those points you gave me? But you get the first 100,000 points of the day, because he was Neri-sighted. Bravo, bravo, bravo. Awesome.
Yeah,
I'd like to point out that my wife and I are mentoring Becca and her fiance, and as their mentor couple, I'm very, very proud of what just happened. So,
thank you. That really means a lot.
Back to marriage, young lady. So good job.
Thank you. It means a lot.
There you go. And you know what? He would have liked excellent eyesight anyway, because he would have picked the person way in the back of the crowd. You know, he would have constantly just to be able to call out people, I think. Or someone who was kind of going off the beaten path, the ultimate youth minister. You have, it'll be a good thing. I know, you can see it all. You can see it all. Okay, awesome. Miss Abbie, here is your question. He has a mysterious key. What would that key be for?
There is a tower, and he goes up into the tower, and he like communes with the heavens. Like he goes up into the tower, and the heavens kind of open, and he is like engaged in mystical prayer, and then he goes back and loves supernaturally. I'm pretty sure.
And that heart keeps just growing, right? Yes.
Yeah. Like I'm torn even now with my answer, because he did love the poor and did love people. So I'd imagine he maybe wanted to bring people with him to this tower. But like, I think he just knew, like even the most extroverted saints, like you need like silence and stillness and quiet for the Lord to cultivate. So I think the tower was just for him and the Lord, but it's a tower.
Very good. A tower to escape.
That opened his chest with whoopee cushions and fake beards and hand buzzers.
Yeah, he kept those in the tower also. resupply. He would
Yeah.
resupply spiritually and with props, and then go back out to the street.
Yeah, I mean, I could see crazy hats and the whole thing in that chest as well. I think it would fit
Like
very well.
NCYC on steroids, like hats of all shapes and sizes, light up things.
Or net after meal entertainment.
Net after, there you go. Yeah.
It just came full circle. Whoop!
Well done, Bradley. Well done.
Well done.
Vietnamese.
Wow. We should always record on Fridays when we're all very tired, because this is pretty impressive.
Sure.
Everyone gets points for that question.
Gets points for that question, but the points don't matter. So there we go. Mr. Barnes, here is your question. What should St. Philip Neri's catchphrase be?
Trying to think of a pun so I can beat Becca. I have no puns. All right, his catchphrase, I think actually, so I won't even do a funny one because he's got some great quotes. I want to find this one from beginning of his life. So the goofy guy is going to try to make it a little bit more serious. Let me find it. And as we find it, make fun of me. Do whatever you need to do, because St. Philip Neri would be, I feel like he had some good slams, like he'd be great in like an epic rap battle or something.
Yeah.
So this was like early on, I think before he was ordained. But his customary question to ask people would just be, well, brothers, when shall we begin to do good? Which is a very simple, straightforward, practical question. So I think whether he was joking around or going to his tower or whatever, he was just concerned about like, how can I pursue the good? So I think that's a good catchphrase for him. And literally it was his catchphrase. So
literally it was his catchphrase. Boom, boom. So I don't know, 50,000 points for you, Bradley?
I'll take it.
We'll do it that way. And we did not mention this. Oh, look at that. I love that he gave up being a priest. He just left seminary after a couple of years, threw away his books and said, not going to be a priest. And then it was some time later. And so he's really the saint of, hey, you still can follow your dreams, especially if the Lord's calling you that way. The other thing I think is so funny about Philip Neri, and I think sometimes this comes into his impulsivity, there's a story about when he was a little boy, that there was a donkey coming through the town, like, I don't know, some kind of fruit or vegetables in the back of the cart. And as a child, he jumped on top of the donkey. Okay, he would be the child you would just go ADD gone wild. And I think that explains a lot of his adulthood too. He jumped on top of the donkey and the donkey fell over, the cart fell over, and the fruit or vegetables or whatever fell all over him and he lived. God had bigger
Was one of my 8th grade boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the kid in youth group when you're
Shout
like,
out to all the 8th grade
all the
boys.
dodgeballs and then they go everywhere. You know?
And you're like, oh my gosh, he's dead. And then he gets up and everything's fine. So I think sometimes when we deal with those ADD boys, we need to, little St. Philip Neri, help us through. You were one of those boys. You were. Okay.
Those boys get us out of purgatory, so.
Okay, Becca, I know you've never had this question, so it's a good one for you. If St. Philip Neri was a type of weather, what kind of weather would he be? You're muted. Unmute yourself.
Thank you. Gosh.
You're welcome.
I always think I'm not going to do that at this point, and I still do. He seems kind of tornado-y. You know, he just kind of blows through and sucks people in and then keeps blowing through. And then, you know, he knocked over the fruit thing. He shaved off half his beard at a party and people were looking. They say that a tornado sounds like a train going by. And I feel like he's one of those people that when he's coming by, you can just hear him coming. Kind of like that, either get in the basement or come hang out, you know? You know, like with tornadoes, you could like want to watch it and you want to see what's going to happen, but also you don't want to die. So you go hide. And so I feel like people with him were probably on either end where they were like, oh shoot, he's coming. Or they were like, now we want to see what's about to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So
So a little Tasmanian devil.
yes.
I would say a little Tasmanian devil. One of my favorite stories about tornadoes is my grandmother. In the 1970s, we had a series of tornadoes go through Cincinnati, and they talk about them all the time. And I was little at the time. I was 3 or 4 years old. But the story goes that they knew the tornado was coming, and my grandma and grandfather were standing outside, and their house was kind of on top of a hill. And my grandmother kept saying, Wilbur, that's my grandfather's name, Wilbur, Bill, Wilbur, oh my gosh, those are the weirdest looking, biggest birds I have ever seen. And he goes, Rainey, she was Corrine, we called her Rainey. Rainey, those aren't birds. Those are shutters. They were things flying in the wind. That's when they went inside. So I feel a little bit like that would have been with Philip Neri. Like, wait, here you go. Here it comes. So yeah, so they all survived. It was all fine, but it's a great story. Those are not birds. Not birds at all. Okay, I'm impressed because I wasn't sure where you were going to go with that, Becca. So I'm impressed with tornado for sure. Oh, now I got to flip to the next one. Oh, Abbie Kohler, this question is so for you. So see what you think. Finish this poem about St. Philip Neri. Roses are red, violets are blue.
Pray to the Lord, because I'm coming for you. I'm pretty sure. In the spirit of the tornado, I bet he was like, I'm coming after all of them. All of their souls are going to get saved. All of them are going to walk themselves to the Lord. I just picture him looking at people being like, make the sign of the cross, because I'm coming for you. That I love. I literally was like thinking and writing, not poetry, but like about poetry this morning. So I love it.
And Abbie, it's like the last time I think I asked you something about music and you went, oh, that's me. That's exactly my question. So you just never know what's going to happen in Truth Bombs. By the way,
Right.
A shout out. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and Becca, thank you for the inspiration, because it was totally, I think you get like a lot of points for what we need to like go back and whatever that quote was about, like, they want to like see what's going to happen, but they also want to run away because they don't want to die. And it's like this holy tension of like, I want to see what he's going to do, but I'm really afraid he's coming for me. Beautiful. Very, very inspired in my muse of that poem.
So you
What were
guys,
you gonna say, Becky?
yeah, you get 100,000 points to split between the two of you. Any way you want to do it. There you go. For your tornado, pray to the Lord because he's coming for you imagery. We have got this going on. That's fantastic. I think sometimes people get scared and intimidated by the idea of becoming Catholic. And Bradley, maybe you can speak to this as a convert, but I'm sure it feels like a tornado where you kind of want to run the other way, but you're a little curious as to what actually is going on.
It's a lot. For sure. I think it's are there any stealthy tornadoes? Because you don't realize it so much, and then it's got you.
You're yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like
My good friend,
like a big time.
Yeah, my good friend Sarah kept declaring to Father Kyle she would not become Catholic, and as she was saying that, he would come and see me in the office the next day and keep telling me I had another one coming to RCIA. So she kept saying no, and he kept telling me she was coming to RCIA.
And here
and now she's Catholic.
Yep.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I think it is. Oh, those years, they just keep flying by. Okay, Bradley, here's your question. What would you buy St. Philip Neri in a Secret Santa?
Ooh. Okay. Whatever I would buy him, I would put it in. Oh my gosh. I wonder, can we hold on a second? Can I check my other room? I might have the box that I would put it in. It would be epic if I actually do.
Ooh, props. I'm excited.
Somebody make waiting noise while I'm.
Do, 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 do. Hey, but I was going to give a shout out to a family, so I'll do that while we're waiting for Bradley. Shout out to the Kaisers, one of my youth ministry families. I found out they went out and bought Truth Bombs after watching so many of these, and they play it. The influence
Becky,
we've had on people.
Supporting family life. Well done.
I know. There we go. Okay.
But,
oh, you didn't have it.
Whatever it would be, it could be something as simple as my powwow brown cow. But whatever it would be, I would put it in one of those joke boxes, if you've ever gotten those, where it's for a fake product. and I received one that I would probably gift back to him. And it was for a, you hook it up to your shower nozzle, and it brews coffee while you shower. So wouldn't matter what was in the box. He would just appreciate that box. I'm really depressed. I think we threw it out. So.
Oh no!
I gave
We'll
it to my
blame.
sister, and she didn't appreciate it as much as I did. And when she moved out, ridiculous.
I was going to say, were we blaming it on Megan that it got thrown out? But I guess never.
Never my beautiful princess.
Never,
But I'll blame it on my sister. Heck yeah.
That's what sisters are for. Abbie Kohler, I wish you had not been muted because you totally just snorted when you laughed about that.
I totally snorted, and I love it. I am sitting outside, socially distanced, at a coffee shop on a road that has a lot of construction. So there's bursts of really loud noises, which is why I'm keeping myself muted. But I totally snorted at the image of that.
Well, Abbie, I have a young adult who listens to Truth Bombs on the way to work, so I had to describe it so she would still benefit from not being able to see that you snorted. I had to just make sure she knew you did snort over Bradley's fun answer, which was perfect. Okay, and the image of someone standing in the shower, okay, that's just fantastic.
Well, it's ridiculous, but at the same time, I was totally taken by it. My in-laws gave it to me, and I thought it was real for a second, and I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. I would love to have delicious, fresh coffee as I'm sudsing.
The ultimate wake-up experience.
No, that'd be incredible.
It would be incredible. So there was a little bit of disappointment. So then you would have disappointed St. Philip Neri just for a moment, and then he would have laughed.
He would have gotten over it.
Yeah, he would have gotten over it. He would have.
They say that Philip Neri was all about like supporting people into like drawing out the best in them. Like several people entered vocations after having encountered St. Philip Neri. So I feel like Bradley Philip would want you to like maybe pursue actually making that a product if you feel so called, because like I'm just saying it's in the spirit of St. Philip Neri.
Well, you know, after Isidore and Dimphna with Abbie, we're going to create a candle line, a Catholic candle line. So we got a little shower nozzle coffee brewer. We can have a little candle line. She said that St. Isidore the farmer's candle scent would be called the work of your hands. So we were so impressed. A little clove, a little earthy. So amazing. We could sell the candles, put their little icons on them. Just be awesome. And on the side,
we'll have to create like a Truth Bombs with the Saints gift store for all of these products.
I'm surprised that like there's not a Philip Neri with that story from earlier. Why is there not a St. Philip Neri beard balm?
Yeah.
That you only use on like half of it or something.
Yeah, you get half the amount of beard balm because you only would use half of it.
Yeah.
They could do St. Philip Neri sales, like 50% off. St. Philip.
That's great. Yeah. If anyone out there listening to Truth Bombs has ties with Catholic Beard Balm Company,
tell them.
I would love to take advantage of a St. Philip Neri sale because I use their products all the time.
Smell a little bit like baptism every day. That's what happens in our office when some of the guys use it. I'm like, it smells like baptism or confirmation around here. A little bit of chrism smell. Delightful.
I got one for St. Drogo and it smells like coffee. And I like
okay.
It's tight.
Bradley, do you know St. Drogo is also the patron saint of ugly people? No, seriously, he actually is. Yeah. And he also is patron saint of coffee. But my son, okay, Abbie just snorted again. My son has fibrous dysplasia in his head, craniofacial fibrous dysplasia. So his forehead's actually a little bit like an elephant man forehead. Not as dramatic as Elephant Man, but his forehead on one side is like he doesn't have a sinus. He doesn't, it's all bone because it's like grown out of control. So we love St. Drogo in this family because that's his like boy, St. Drogo.
Awesome.
So yeah, though he's not ugly. We just, tongue in cheek. It's just, This is what happens when you grow up and you talk about the saints all the time. Okay, sorry, I'll bring children. They'll be in therapy for a long time.
I love that there really is a patron saint for everyone, including the people. Sad.
There really, really, truly is. Okay, Becca. This one's for you.
Yes.
If he were an item on the McDonald's menu, what item would he be?
Oh, geez. Oh, good question. Maybe a. This is one I was not prepared for. Not that you can prepare for any of them, but okay, probably. Okay, no. All right. So he wouldn't necessarily be the menu item, but you know how you can order a meal and you can say super size me?
Oh.
Because his heart got so big that he got a supersized heart.
Supersize me. Yes. Oh, Becca, you guys are just killing it this morning. I also was thinking, Becca, he would just be the Happy Meal toy.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, yeah.
But I live and breathe these questions a lot, so I'm prepared for them all at this point.
That's really
but I do, the supersize me was one I would never have thought of. So I am very, very, very impressed. Very impressed. But I did have to say.
You'd be a soft drink because that's something that you fill up.
Stop it. Can I give all my points to Brad? Can I please I'm going to give them all.
Every single one to Bradley. All points today.
I want to give them to you, sir.
Mm-hmm. Take them all on. You cash them in later. Because obviously all casinos are closed at this time, so no cashing in. Yep. So you're just stuck with them. Stuck with the points for now. Okay. Oh, Abbie, this is a good one for you. I love when the questions come around. I go, oh, it was like it was meant to be. If St. Philip Neri was given a bunch of Play-Doh, what would he make?
He would make like a monstrance with the Eucharist, a little altar set, and he would teach with it. Kind of Catechesis of the Good Shepherd.
Yes.
Maybe it really started with him.
Maybe it really did.
He would like make a play set and like teach the children like this is an altar and this is a monstrance and this is Jesus. Like do it so gently.
Mm-hmm. He would be. I think the kids would love him, even the younger ones. And he could say, I know you think this sun is beautiful, but wait till you see this sun. You know, it would be awesome. I always love Catechesis of the Good Shepherd. When I see all their little things, I get so excited. Maybe in my second life, I've always wanted to teach college, but maybe I'll go do that instead. You never know. I've done a lot of things in my life. You just never know. Father Kyle, if you are listening to this, just remember I'm not quitting. I will give you a heads up before I go explore some other grand adventure. You guys know I was a real estate agent at one point. Did you know that? Yeah. And I was a real estate trainer, and I've done a lot of fun things in my life, school teacher. So you just never know what Becky Allbrink's going to do next. It's always a mystery.
I am not surprised. But I feel like just be who you were meant to be, and you will continue to set the world on fire.
Yeah, you just never know where I'm going to be setting the world on fire next. But for right now, St. John Neumann. I don't want all my families and all my kids to be like, oh, no, I'm here. I'm at John Neumann.
Yeah, you just terrified a bunch of people. So, walk it back, girl. Walk it back.
I talk about getting my PhD, and the kids are like, Brinky, you can't do that. I got my master's while working here. What's a PhD? What's the big deal? Okay. Philip Neri, he just threw his books away. Say that again?
Would we then have to call you Drinky if you got your master or your PhD? I think that's how it would combine.
Like Dr. Brinky.
Dr. Brinky would become Drinky, I think.
That's a good one, Bradley. We'll take all your points away after that. Okay, well, we're going to finish up this round, and I think we'll call it a day. I have other things to do today, though this has been delightful. You all, we need to film more on Fridays, because this has been rocking it out here at Truth Bombs with the Saints, for sure. Okay, so, and we recorded on Friday. Philip Neri's not really till next Tuesday because of Memorial Day weekend and stuff, but maybe I'll have to start shifting everything till Friday. So, okay, Mr. Barnes, the last and final question for Saint Philip Neri. Are you ready?
Ready.
He's ready. He's working out, getting ready. If Saint Philip Neri were a kind of dessert, what kind of dessert would he be?
Be a rocket pop. Remember those rocket pops?
The red, white, and blue?
Yeah, totally. Have no reason for why. Just that's what he would be.
It would be a rocket pop.
Like the most fun and whimsical of desserts.
The fun and
it makes
whimsical.
sense. I don't know
It really
why.
does.
Like, you have no reason, but it totally makes sense.
I
Maybe
mean,
you could do rocket pop like in the whatever the heck the colors are for the Italian flag. I don't know.
Ooh.
is it green, white, red?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Pasta
If you're-
color.
The pasta color. If you're Italian, we apologize for all things that we just
I
did.
apologize
but
for nothing.
You apologize for nothing. I think just the name Rocket Pop. I mean, we were talking about tornadoes. So yeah, and he'd be one of those like just passing them out on the corner and you think rocket pops are great. Wait till you meet Jesus Christ. It would be awesome.
You think this is satisfying? How about the Eucharist?
Come and get the best food of all.
Ding ding. And he'd ring his oratory bell, but it's like a dinner bell. For dessert. Rocket pop and Jesus. That's youth ministry basically in a nutshell.
And actually is. Next time I see you, I'm just going to say Rocket Pop and Jesus, and you're going to go, youth ministry. Oh, I do love a good Rocket Pop. See, now it makes me want to go to the store and get some Rocket Pops or you know who always has them is the little ice cream trucks that drive around the neighborhood. They almost always have Rocket Pops. Those and the orange push-ups and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I'll have to just stop.
Maybe if you have any of your like family visit prayer times where you like go to their home, right, and bring snacks, maybe you could bring rocket pops next Tuesday if you do any in honor of St. Philip Neri. They'd have to be well timed because those things melt. But
I know, and we spend a lot of time with families. It is so much fun. We'll spend half an hour plus with the families and talk to the parents, and the parents enjoy it too, and the kids love it. And I get gifts almost everywhere I go, little paintings and pictures and everything. So it's a lot of fun. Yeah, but they do like my snacks. I give them a little fruit snack, little chip, little sweet little cookie, in a little box, little Brinky treat box. Yeah, it's fun. I do love that. But maybe I could do Rocket Pops sometime. Or they could come to me and I would do the Rocket Pops. Yeah, up at John Newman or something. Yeah.
Come to me, all you who labor and are weary, and I shall give you rocket pops.
What it says in the Bible.
That's scripture, everybody.
Scripture. Look, Abbie's even got it right there. What a way to end the episode. Well, enjoy. I hope you enjoyed learning about St. Philip Neri. He is a great saint. Google him. You will find out some fantastic things about him. There's lots of great stories. And he is one of those quotable saints. I agree, Mr. Barnes. He is a good quotable saint. He's got a lot of good quotes out there. And the Bible does too. So don't forget to study your Bible this summer. But I will see you all soon. Have a great, great day. Maybe I'll see some of you at church. How exciting is that, youth ministry people? We might actually see people at church appropriately socially distant. But hopefully we will see some of you at church. Check in at the website sjnews.org for all the details of how and because we now have a new mass schedule. New mass schedule, socially distanced. It's all fresh and new at John Newman. So check it out. We'll see you soon. Bye now. Yay, bye kids.